Hi everyone, you are watching Sari Knits. My name is Sari and these are my knitting podcast videos. And today I'm going to be talking about my upcoming knit along. So we are knitting the iris hat, and I'll also share what's going on in my life at the moment. There are big changes coming, and what I've been knitting lately. So I have everything next to me here on the sofa, but you can't see them. I can see them, but you can't. But I'll start talking about the iris hat knit along, because that's the first thing I mentioned, and that's the most important thing about today's podcast episode. So the story of iris hat started last January. Can you actually believe that it's almost 1 year ago that it was January, because it's now almost mid-October, so there's only 2.5 months left of this year, and then we are back to January. I don't know where this year went. This has been probably the fastest going year of my life. It's been so busy and so many things have happened, and I can't believe it's already mid-October. But yeah, I started knitting my iris hat last January. I think this was the first project of this year, and my sister has this really cool Samso hat that was like this rose colored soft pink, and I think it was really nice. But because I'm a knitter, I wanted to knit the hat myself. I don't like buying knitwear, because I rather make it myself. So I was inspired by the hat and I decided to knit my own version. And you might remember, if you have been watching my episodes, you might remember I was really obsessed with top-down hats last year. So this was the last top-down hat project that I made, and this is knitted in 1x1 ribbing, and it started here at the top, and then there are increases, and then the rest of the hat is worked in simple 1x1 ribbing. And to show you, the hat is actually this long, so the brim is folded triple, so it's first folded once and then one more time for extra thickness. And it's super warm, it's super soft, really cozy, and ever since I finished this last winter, I don't think I wore any other hat for the rest of the cold season. And now that the weather turned colder again, this was the first hat that I reached for. So it's super lovely. I love wearing this. And back, I think it was beginning of August, people started asking me to host an iris hat knit along. So that's what I'm doing now. And I knitted this hat using Hedgehog Fibres. It's one strand of Hedgehog Fibres Skinny singles held together with their kid silk lace, and they are both in the colorway iris. So that's how the hat got its name. Looks like this. And you can either use one strand of Merino single or other fingering weight yarn held together with lace weight, for example brushed alpaca or mohair. But you could also work it with one strand of DK weight yarn. I haven't tried it, but if you can get the gauge, I don't see why that wouldn't be possible. I actually decided to knit my second iris using Hedgehog Fibres Skinny singles. I just went to my local yarn store in Helsinki. It's called Snurren Lankakauppa, and bought this new color from Hedgehog Fibres. This is the colorway Clay. It's like really beautiful, almost like rose gold meets terracotta. Beautiful pinkish, rusty, red, brownish. It's hard to describe this color. It's really beautiful. And I decided that I will skip the mohair content because I know there are people who don't either have allergic or for some other reason they don't want to use mohair. So I want to see how the iris hat looks like with 2 strands of Merino single. So I'm using Hedgehog Fibres Merino single held together for my second iris. And the iris hat knit along starts next week on Saturday, so that is the 19th, maybe Saturday 19th, and it will run until beginning of December. So the first weekend of December, that is Sunday 8th of December. So after that you will still have plenty of time to work on your Christmas present knitting, and there's plenty of time to make your own iris hat. And like I said, I will be joining and working mine with this colorway. So then I will have one that is like this purplish pink and one that is rusty terracotta colored iris hat. And I will have a minus 20% discount on the iris hat pattern with the iris KAL code. I will write it below this video, so you don't have to worry about remembering it or thinking about how to spell it. And that code will be valid until the end of the knit along. And of course, every good knit along needs some awards, so I will be picking at random one finished iris hat, and Hedgehog Fibres have promised a small gift for the winner. I don't know what that is yet, but everything they have is lovely, so I believe it will be something really gorgeous. But I will keep you posted. I will also post all this information in my Ravelry group. I will make a special thread for the knit along and also post it on Instagram and keep you posted about the whole knit along situation. But that's about the iris hat. There's a really fine line between plagiarism and making something or getting inspired. And like I said, that my hat was inspired by my sister's hat from Samso at Samso, but I didn't go there and check the gauge or count stitches and copy it exactly, so that was just like the form of the hat. And Sister Mountain posted a really good blog post about copying other people's ideas. I think that's a really, if there are people who are aspiring to become knitwear designers, that's a really good to read. Her point was that if you need to ask if your idea is original enough, then it probably isn't. So I think that's a really good to read for everyone. And for me, today happened a thing I'm really sad about. There was this person who copied one of my patterns. She did credit that the pattern was inspired by my pattern, but there's not really anything I can do about it. Well, yeah, so it's really hard, and I usually try to be really vocal about the inspiration behind my knitwear, and I think it's okay to be inspired by other people's work, and it's okay to use stitch patterns that you find online, and for example the Japanese knitting stitch Bible that everybody uses, and I have used it as well, but I don't think it takes anything away from my design that I say that I was inspired by Sanso, or this stitch pattern is from the Japanese knitting stitch Bible. I think it's just more fair to give the credit to whom it belongs. But the thing with the design that was copied, it was more than just get inspired, because it was exactly like mine. And they even used the same yarn as I did in the same colorway. So it's not okay, and I'm really pissed about that, but that just made me realize how much more open I need to be about where I get my inspiration, and I think I try to be really open, and I will continue to do that. For example, for the poet pattern, when it came out, I have never claimed that the lace stitch is my own invention. It's something that I found online, I think on Pinterest, but usually I never use anything that I find like one-to-one. I usually try to make it somehow my own. There are, of course, there are times that I have used the exact same stitch pattern that I have found online. But yeah, there's so much more to designing than just a certain knit pattern, and most of the times you can't even credit who came up with the stitch pattern. Of course, if you have the Japanese knitting stitch Bible, you know that there are Hitomi Shida patterns and you can give the credit to them, but most of the patterns have been around for ages, and you find them in several stitch libraries and several sources online and so on. And for example, like the seed stitch, it's an institution. You don't need to credit anybody for a seed stitch. Or if I need a pullover that is in seed stitch, there are multiple of different patterns that are using the same stitch pattern, so I don't think that's copying. But I believe in giving credit where credit is due, and I have a new pattern. You've probably seen this one on Instagram, a new hat pattern, and I can't take credit for this stitch pattern. This is something that I found on Pinterest. So I found the chart on Pinterest and I used the chart. So does that make this pattern any less beautiful? I don't think so, but I think it's just me being honest that I never came up with the pattern, but I don't know who made it. It was the text on it was in Russian. I don't read Russian, but anyway, this is a new hat pattern that I have coming, and this green colorway. I fell in love with this yarn when I was visiting London Loop, when I was in London, of course, but they only had it in mini skeins or in like this chunkier weight. I think it was, I can't remember if it was DK or Aran, and I wanted fingering weight. This is La Bien Amy and Merino single, and the colorway is called Emmeline, and it's super beautiful. It's like this dark green, forest green shifts to emerald. Beautiful colorway. I love it. It's like the perfect green colorway for me. and I wanted to use it for a colorway hat. Like I said, that I fell in love with the color in London and wanted to use it for something, and lately I've been really into color work. Usually I prefer knitting textured stitches. I love working cables, and I also love working like really simple stockinette stitch. But then every now and then I get this like burst of I need to knit color work, and usually it starts with one project, and then everything I want to do is just knit color work, and usually the enthusiasm fades as quickly as it started. So I think I will probably be knitting color work for another month and a few projects, and then I'm done with it for maybe a year again. And the same thing happens to me with lace. For example, at like this, I suddenly crave lace knitting, and like this it's all gone again. And for example, I've been really into brioche for the longest time, but now I'm like kind of through with it. I've been knitting it too much and I need a break from anything brioche. So kind of now it's the color work that's the thing for me at the moment. And like I said, the colorway is called Emmeline, and the pink colorway that I used for the contrast color, it's Belle Epoque, and it has this like really cool hot pink and greenish speckles, and this is how the top of the hat looks like. I'm really happy about the decrease lines. You can see here they match perfectly this pattern, so I'm really super happy how they turned out. I think it's my favorite feature, and I was going to put a pom-pom on this hat, but then this little star at the top of the hat is so beautiful that if I put a pom-pom on it, it will disappear. So I don't know if I want to pom-pom it or not. Yeah, but I've been writing the pattern, and hopefully I will have it ready for test knitting in a few days. So this is started with a provisional cast on, and the brim is worked until double the length, and then the provisional cast on is undone, and then stitches from the provisional cast on are worked together with the counterparts on top of the hat, and then the color work is started. And because I have some leftover yarn, I forgot to say that I named the pattern Emmeline, so the colorway was called Emmeline. So I named it because this is like the Scandinavian, traditional Scandinavian pattern. Gave it more of a Scandinavian name, so it's Emmeline. And I started a matching KAL. Here you can see the colors. So this is the Emmeline colorway, and this is the Belle Epoque colorway, and this is how they look together. So I started matching KAL. I'm holding the yarns or reversing the colors. So now the Belle Epoque is the background color and Emmeline is the pattern color. So this is going to be a KAL. It's still rolling, so it also has a provisional cast on here at the bottom. It looks like this. And I was thinking first making a pattern repeat with this colorway, and on the inside reversing the colors again so they match this one, and then using Kitchener stitch to graft the ends together. So this is what I've been working on, but this is not a TV knitting project for me. So I've been working this on the train rides where I can listen to audiobooks and just concentrate on working the colorway. I really like how it's turning out. I like colorway for a small project like this, but I have realized that I don't really like wearing colorwork pullovers. So there's like really no point for me to knit anything with colorful yokes because that's not something that I enjoy wearing. So there's always kind of like this dilemma between finding the things that you want to knit versus the things that you want to wear, and finding things that are fit both categories. So it's a hard lesson for me as a knitter. When I started to knit, I mostly focused on things that I wanted to knit rather than things that felt like me, like what I wanted to wear. And it was really sad that I had a closet full of self-knitted pullovers that I actually kind of never wore because they didn't feel like me. And it's been a learning curve to find my style. And it also has a lot to do with designing, how to design things that I like myself and I want to wear, rather than things that are fun to design or things that I think other people want me to design. But yeah, I will try to knit a bit more of that and this, and then I will have a call for the knitters for the Emmeline KAL as well. But it's been a fun change to knit like this traditional Scandinavian colorwork. This is like the knitting heritage that feels familiar to me. But yeah, this is my newest project. And talking about colorwork, like I said, I bought the Hedgehog Fibres, the clay color yarns from Snurre Lankakauppa, my local yarn store in Helsinki. And when I finished the Emmeline hat, my son took it into his hands and put it on his head, and he was like, "Oh, you made me a hat, this is my hat." And I was like, "No, actually this is not for you." And then we came to the conclusion that okay, I will make him a new hat as well. He's been wearing the ribbed hat, the yellow ribbed hat that I made for him quite a lot. But he wanted a colorwork hat as well, and we looked a bit on Google for hats, and he saw this hat pattern with dinosaurs. He's a huge dinosaur fan at the moment, so he wanted me to knit him a dinosaur hat. So now I have to start drawing dinosaurs. But I have some Madeline Tosh Merino in the colorway area left from my Mackenzie shawl. It's a beautiful, I think this goes perfectly for dinosaurs because it's like grey and it has this shifty greenish, almost neon colored speckles. So I needed to pick a yarn that matches this one. Most of my yarns are either they are too dark to be combined with this one, or then they are like kind of these girlish colors. Like I have a lot of like dusty pinks, and so I needed something that would match this color and work for a dinosaur hat. So I found this Lichen and Lace. This is, you see, this is the 80-20 sock. So it's 80% superwash merino with 20% nylon. I think this is good for kids hat because it needs rougher handling than an adult hat. And the colorway is called Sage. So there you can see. And I think this will look really nice together. I'm gonna be making it with the same construction, just with a bit fewer stitches than my hat, so a double folded brim with only the sage, and then take the aria colorway and make the dinosaurs with it. And I have this reflective yarn from Novita in this like really, just go and get it, just a minute, I'll just go and get it. I made a cowl for my son with it, just a second. Yeah, back. It looks quite, I don't know even how to describe this. So it's like really bright, a really bright color. It's neon yellow. And this is a cowl for him. It's actually big enough to go over his shoulders, even though it looks really, really small if you compare it to me. But this is worked in brioche, and there are just some decreases to make this form, and the neck is long enough to turn into a turtleneck. So I made this, and the yarn is from Novita, and it has this like a reflective fiber worked into the wool yarn. I don't know if you can see it here, but I'll just put the flash on my phone, and I'll show you how it looks like if I take a photo of this. Not sure if you could see it. Let's try it again. Well, if you don't see it, I can show it to you on my... But there's like this reflective fiber worked into the wool yarn. So I think this is really good now that the weather turned wintry, and there's not yet any snow, and it's dark outside, so it's really good for him to so that he's people can see him, the cars can see him. So I have some of this left, and I was going to use it for a pom-pom for the hat, so I think it will look really nice in combination to this. And it also works kind of like a little lifesaver for him. Pom-pom on the hat with the reflective yarn. What else? One more colorwork project. You have seen this already. Ta-da! The sock. And I just realized I still have to go and get something else. Just a minute. Really not my A game today. But yeah. Now I can finally show you where the inspiration for these socks came. So I have finished the first sock and started the second one. It's here. Haven't done that much of it, and I'm using Novita Venla for these. And this is the off-white colorway, and this is the oat colorway. And the new Novita Knits magazine came out today. So the yarn company that I work for, Novita, produces their own knitting magazine, and it comes out 4 times every year. At the moment it's only in Finnish and in Swedish, but a lot of the patterns are translated into English, and usually every time a new magazine comes out, the patterns from the previous magazine come available for free online. So if you have had your eye on, for example, my Sylvia pullover that was published in the previous Novita magazine, it's now available for free on the Novita Knits website, as well as I had, using this same yarn, I had the socks with twisted stitches. They are also available for free on novitaknits.com, and I made this leopard spot headband, and that as well is available for free. So head over to novitaknits.com and you can see all the free patterns from the previous magazine. But today was the release date for the new magazine. And I have 21 patterns in this magazine. So there are 48 altogether and 21 of them are mine. Some are really simple. For example, just a second. I made these mug warmers. So this is a very small project. And also using the reflective yarn. Just a minute. I made a set with a brioche caul and a hat. What else? Back in, I think it was February, I had just started at Novita, and then I was called to my boss, and she was like, I want you to design pants, knitted pants with wide legs and a lot of cables. And I was like, okay, I have never done that, and I wasn't quite sure if it was a joke, if I was actually supposed to design that, or if it was just like because I was new, they wanted to see how I would react, or if I could pull it off. But it was for the H+H fair in Cologne, and here they are, knitted pants with a lot of cables and wide legs, and I'm pretty happy how they turned out. I was a bit scared when they came back from the knitter and they hadn't been blocked, and they were like, the cables drew them together, and I was like, oh shit, this is going to be horrible, I'm going to make a fool of myself. But they turned out really great, and now they are in the new magazine, and I kind of feel like I kind of need these pants in my life. Maybe in some other color than white, because I would probably get them all dirty immediately. But that's something that is in this magazine. But my favorite thing about this magazine, I got to design this capsule wardrobe collection of 9 pieces that I'm really happy about, and I will show it to you very soon. But I was talking about the socks and where the inspiration for the socks came. And when we were shooting the pictures for the magazine for the capsule collection, the model came to the shoot with similar socks. They were of course like this thinner material, and the socks went perfectly with my collection, and we started to feel like, damn, we should have a pattern like that. And then my colleague said, okay, we can make the pattern and we'll just publish it to novitaknits.com. It doesn't have to make it to the magazine, because it was too late for the magazine, of course. So I immediately started knitting these socks, and I'll show you the inspiration socks. You can see them very well here. These are the socks, the model's own socks, and these were the inspiration for those socks. And I'll show you the whole collection. So it has this Fair Isle cardigan. It's also knitted with the Venla yarn that I showed you. It's the same yarn as for the socks, and it's called Fredrika. All of these are named after Finnish female writers, because the collection was shot in Helsinki Central Library called Oodi. So I decided to name the patterns with female writers. And Fredrika Runeberg is one of the first female Finnish female writers to ever write a novel, and she was born in my hometown, so that's why I wanted to name it Fredrika. And below is a dress. You might have already seen it on my Instagram. Here you can see more photos. So here's the the dress, and again it's the same yarn and the same colorway. And this is I've been teasing you about saying that there are a few kind of like my favorite patterns I have ever designed coming, and this is one of them. So it took quite a lot of effort for me to get it right. I've folded paper to see how to make the hem exactly like I wanted it to be, and this is my favorite design ever. And the dress is called Minna, named after Minna Kant, but also after my friend who is also called Minna, and I think this would look perfect on her. This is exactly like her style, and because this is a capsule wardrobe, everything I made for this collection is meant to be worn together, so everything is mix and match. And here you can see the Frederica cardigan together with the Minna dress. And then there's a set of pullover and skirt, and the skirt has this slit at the back. And this is another favorite design of mine. It's called Sophie, and it's cabled pullover with raglan sleeves and a collar neck. And then there's the Tove, named after Tove Jansson. A long white cardigan, of course Moomins, so white belongs to Tove. Cabled socks over here with same Venla yarn, and a triangle shawl with a lot of cables. And lastly, this tunic or dress with cables on the front. So that's my capsule collection for the Novita magazine, and it's been something that I've been really enthusiastic making, and the reception for the collection has been really good, and I'm super happy about that, because it's been kind of like this child of mine. So I'm really happy that it has been so well received. I'll show you one more, just a few more patterns I can show you from the magazine. It's also something that I'm really happy about. It's a brioche, one color brioche unisex pullover. So the guy and the girl are both wearing the same pullover, and it has this really gorgeous detail at the front. And then I got to make some baby patterns. It was super fun. I want to make more baby patterns. And here, so the hat and the socks and the overall. The socks are here. And lastly, has this little onesie or romper and a cardigan coat. So this is the whole set in another colorway. So this was something that I've been making at Novita for past 6 months, and now we are already working the spring magazine, and there's also some really exciting stuff coming from me, but I can't tell you yet. And when the spring magazine comes out, mid-January, I think, beginning of January, something like that, all the patterns, like the capsule collection, becomes freely available on Novita Knits website. So there's a couple of months wait for the English-speaking knitters for the patterns, and for the Finnish and Swedish-speaking knitters, you can get the patterns in the new Novita Knits magazine. I'll just quickly show you a couple more projects that I've been making, and then I think that's everything for today. This turned out to be a longer video than I intended. I always think, I don't have anything to say, what am I going to say? I don't have anything new to show you, and then I end up talking non-stop for 45 minutes and I have to like kind of restrain myself. But melon socks are now both done, and I still have to weave in the ends and take photos, and then the pattern is ready for release. And I was thinking about next week Friday for the release date, so they are still like for October projects, and I'm gonna be releasing the My Sock pattern. If you remember a few episodes back, I showed you socks, like light pink socks that were published in a Finnish craft magazine earlier this year. So I translated the pattern into English and I'm releasing them at the same time. So next week Friday the melon socks and the My socks are coming out, and the melon socks are worked from cuff down. They're started with tubular cast on, so the cast on edge is really stretchy. I hate socks with too tight cast ons, and they have a reinforced heel flap and this like round French heel. And this is the same stitch pattern that I used for my melon headband, and it's a pattern that was inspired by the Hitomi Shida stitch bible, but this is my own interpretation of stitches from there. So these are coming from me. The yarn I used for this is from a Finnish dyer called Auer yarns and the colorway is called Pisara, so it's this gray, almost shifting to almost greenish, so it's like this watercolor gray. Pisara means drop in Finnish. And what else? Auer hasn't really progressed. I haven't really given it as much attention that I should. I also should write the pattern. This is the first version of the Auer pullover, and this was my summer mindless knit, so I started a second Auer and I'm writing the pattern at the same time. I'm kind of retracing my steps and my messy notes and making a second Auer pullover, but this is the body, and still have to knit the second sleeve and the whole raglan shaping and so on. These are beautiful colors from Wool Me Ones, my favorite dyer. They're both in the colorway Aslan, so this is the Merino single and this is silk mohair, kid silk, like something kid mohair silk, I can't remember, but I'll write everything below the video so you don't have to worry about it. And I went to see the Downton Abbey movie on last Tuesday, and first I was going to take the second Auer pullover with me because it's such a mindless knit, it's like just a stockinette stitch in the round, but I only have this much left of my Merino, and I didn't have my yarn swift in Helsinki, so I didn't want to start winding the yarn by hand like I've done with this one, and it was really painful. I hate it, so I'd rather use the yarn swift for that. So I needed something really simple that I could knit at the movies, because as you know, at the movies it's so dark that you can't really see what you're doing, so you have to go by touch and feel and something really monotonous. So I started a hat. So I just cast it on the stitches on the bus in the morning and made a few rows, and then the rest I knitted during the Downton Abbey movie. I made a few mistakes, so there were a few places where there was a purl stitch instead of a knit stitch, but I dropped the stitches down after the movie and laddered them up again to fix the mistakes. So this is just like one by one ribbing, and I kind of don't know yet how I will continue after this. I kind of love the stitch definition. This is La Bien Aimée Merino DK Colorway is caramel, favorite color at the moment. But yeah, what was I going to say? Forgetting. So I was going to make cables with this, but then the stitch definition is superb. It's so amazing, and the yarn and the colorway, they both look super amazing with just this simple ribbing. So I'm thinking about making yet another ribbed hat. I already have so many, so I was kind of like playing around with an idea of, because the iris hat is started from top and then worked downwards. I was thinking about making a similar hat with similar type of decreases at the top and similar length and so on, but working from bottom up. And if you mirror word iris, it's Sari. So I was kind of started to play with an idea of Sari hat, and maybe this is the start for bottom up iris hat. So I still need to add length so that I can turn the brim one more time and then make the crown. But let's see what I end up doing. This would be perfect for cables as well because of the stitch definition. So if I don't make the Sari hat now, then I will do it with some other yarn. But yeah, that's everything I was going to show you today. I will try to film one more episode next week, and that will be my last episode from Vaasa. Last week is going to be my last week in Vaasa, and after that we are moving to Helsinki, and at the same time I'm super excited about the new chapter, but also really sad about leaving our home here and leaving our friends and the kindergarten and all the familiar places and cafes and restaurants and parks and the seaside that I love. We've lived in Vaasa since 2011, so 8.5 years almost. Next April would be 9 years, and really liked living here. And we lived in this apartment almost exactly 6 years, so we moved in 2013, just before Christmas. So it's almost exactly 6 years that we lived here, and this was Theo's first home, and this was the home that we brought him to from the hospital, and this is where he learned how to crawl and how to walk, and this is the only home that he has ever known. So this is the first time that we are moving as a family of 3 instead of just 2 adults, so it's a lot of things that we need to take into consideration and a lot of adjusting, and it's so much more stuff that we need to move. I've been so absolutely horrified of how much things we need, and I've been recycling and donating so many boxes and bags of stuff, and still we have so much that it's horrible, and I really need to become more minimalistic after this. It has been such a wake-up call to see how many things we have, and most of it is something that we don't even need. But I think that's something that is happening all over the world, not just our home, but yeah. So we are moving to Helsinki, and last night when I came with the train from Helsinki to Vaasa, and we reached the station, and I started to cry because I kind of realized that it was the last time ever that I took the train back from Helsinki to Vaasa and said that I was going home, because after this, of course I will come and visit Vaasa. Of course we have friends here, so it's not like the last time that I will ever come to Vaasa, but next Sunday will be the last time I'm gonna be home in Vaasa. It's gonna be the last time that I have a home in Vaasa. Then we are going to sell this apartment, so I don't know, it might be a few months before it's sold, and probably have to come and check everything and latest when we are selling it. But it's no longer going to be home because our stuff is going to be in Helsinki and our cats are going to be in Helsinki and so on. So it's hard to let go of things and at the same time try to be like really joyous for our kids and like, yay, it's so fun that we are moving and so many things. It's going to be, well, different, but we found a really nice apartment that we're going to rent, and it's in a really nice neighborhood, and yeah, really excited but really sad at the same time. But I will try to film one more episode from Vaasa, and after that this chapter of my life is closed. Still don't really understand this is happening, but yeah, we are moving, new things. But that's everything. That's more than I was intending to talk about today. When I started, I thought that okay, this is going to take something like 20 minutes for me to film, and now I've probably been talking for an hour or something like that. But thanks for watching me talk, and yeah, Iris hat KAL starting next week on Saturday, and I will have the call for test knitters for the Emmeline hat very soon. So that's everything that was in this episode. So, bye!